This is it. You guys can't see it, but I promise you, this is it. The last year has been really, really good for me, and I'm not sure where I even should begin. So as you guys know, YouTube has the YouTube Rewards program, or as we more commonly refer to it, the YouTube play buttons. When you reach a certain subscriber milestone, you get a reward. 100K is the silver play button, 1 million is the gold, 10 million is the diamond. There's actually a few above this, but let's just focus on these, as I just got my silver play button, and then there's a big gap to the 1 million, so it's gonna be a while before I get that one. I have a lot to say about this, so I would encourage you to stick around, but I'm sure you're all here to actually see me open the thing. I actually got it about 30 minutes before I started streaming yesterday, so I opened it on stream, and you can see it right here. Alright, we needed a little bit more light for this. I'm only doing this for this. Oh my goodness, that's bright. Okay, so as many of you know, I should have gotten this. Oh, I'm out of focus, there we go. Covering my address. I have not opened this, you can still tell from the tape. I just got this like 30 minutes before the stream started. I'm gonna have to put this somewhere in the background. Where I'm gonna put it, I have no idea. So let's just open this. How do you get your head so smooth? You know, trade secret. So it comes with its own certification paper. If you guys want to read that, go ahead, but I'm not going to read the entire thing out loud. So the funny story is I actually should have gotten this about a year ago. I got 100K subscribers in like July, but I never got the code for it. And the way you get these is they send you a code through some tips thing on YouTube, you send it in, and then you redeem it, basically. I never got that. So I had to message them for it, and I'm only now getting around to it. It's got a specific person that looked at it and approved it. Everything is spelled correctly. Alright. Here it is. That is very, very shiny. It matches my head. This technically should be my second one, because I've been over 100K on my Airsoft account for a long time. But I never got one for that either. So technically this is the first one I have, but this is the second time I reached 100K. But that actually kind of means a little bit more in a way, because that's like, this is saying two to make it true. It's not just a mistake, you didn't just fall into it. So that's two different channels I've reached over that. I'm getting a lot more views now on this channel, so it's really weird to me to say this channel is my primary channel over my main YouTube channel. But yeah, I'm gonna have to put this somewhere in the background. Where, I don't know, to be entirely honest. I'll figure something out. For now, I guess I'll just put this, I don't know. Get out of the way, Zetter. There. Put it there for now. Eh, whatever, it's good enough. Don't you gasp at me. Of course I did. It's not like I threw myself. I just yeeted Zetter away. So yeah. It's shiny. It looks actually really good. It didn't look as I expected it to look. For some reason I thought it would actually, you know, pop out like a button, but instead it's kind of an indented mirror, and, you know, I actually kind of like this more. I can create an infinite source of energy by seeing the reflection of my head into the mirror and the mirror back to my head. I can get rich. It does mean a lot to me though. As I said before, it's not the first time I've reached 100K, but it is the first time I've gotten one of these, and it's sort of nice to have a physical, positive feedback to having some sort of success. It's interesting to me because I look more at viewer count and view duration than I do subscribers, but having something showing, hey, you're doing something right, I don't know, it just feels good. And like I said, two to make it true. This isn't the first time I've reached 100K, and it also proves that the first time wasn't a fluke. I can make content that people do want to watch and really enjoy. But more so, this means a lot to me because the last year has been really, really good to me. A lot of problems that have been lingering for a long time have finally been fixed in one way or another. Let's stick to the YouTube side of things for now. I'm not going to give you my entire history, but as most of you know, I've been doing this for a long time. In fact, my first channel, my Airsoft channel, which is the one that was the most successful for the longer period of time, I've been doing that since 2006. YouTube only started in 2005. And in fact, that channel started as more of an advertisement for a business I was running selling airsoft guns at the time. But I started making the videos because I kind of just wanted an excuse to play with these guns because they were cool. But that also benefited as advertisement for my business. I quickly realized that turning my hobby into a business was all business and no hobby, so when the videos could support myself, I just shut down the business and focused on videos. This proved very successful, and I had no problems with money for a while. I was pulling in around 2 to 3K a month. And then it happened. The YouTube adpocalypse happened. I went from making 2 to 3K a month to 300. Like that, just from one month to the next, with no explanation from YouTube. This was my career. And I know a lot of people are probably going to say, well, why did you just put all your eggs in one basket? How could you be so dumb? Why do you rely on your employer? It's not really any different. The difference is that I'm in the entertainment industry instead. To explain the adpocalypse situation a little bit more, I had started also a gaming channel back in around 2009, 2011, I don't know, sometime around there. But I was pulling in most of my money from my Airsoft account. This is bad for the YouTube adpocalypse. See, the adpocalypse started because companies that were the advertisers started noticing that their ads were being played on videos that they probably shouldn't have been played on, like Coca-Cola ads being placed on very racist videos, and they started pulling out. YouTube went full panic mode to try to fix it, and did what they always do. They used an algorithm that doesn't work. This algorithm determined whether a video was advertiser friendly or not, and this basically meant that almost all of your videos were getting demonetized. When your video gets demonetized, you make no money on it. What's even worse, it doesn't get thrown into recommendeds, so you also don't get any views. Even worse than that, since people aren't seeing it, you don't get a positive feedback loop and it doesn't get back into recommendeds even when it's not demonetized. So you're not seeing any videos, it's not getting any views, and you're not making money. Now, I thought at first that they were false flagging my videos. What about my videos aren't advertiser friendly? But when I appealed this, it always came back as them confirming they weren't advertiser friendly, which is absurd to me. Keep in mind, at the time, my primary source of income was my Airsoft channel. But I still had my video game channel, which did okay, mostly because I was doing cross promotion for my Airsoft channel to my video game channel. Otherwise, people weren't really seeing it. Either way, both channels were hit hard and both were demonetized on almost every video. As time went by, it became obvious why they were getting demonetized. They had to do with guns. This is a big problem for me because airsoft guns are technically guns if you just look at the silhouette of them. It's kind of silly to compare them to AR-15s, they're more comparable to paintball, but they were still guns. In the current political climate, with mass shootings, it makes sense as to why advertisers wouldn't want their ads running on those videos. That said, if YouTube wanted to do any actual work, there is a huge gun market out there, and I'm sure they would love to run ads on these very specific videos. But what was more puzzling is that my video game channel also was always getting demonetized on everything. And the reason is because I focused on first-person shooters, which involved guns. But anyone looking at that can tell that's very different from firing a real AR-15, and it really shouldn't get demonetized. Well, fast forward to today, and the situation really has not changed on my Airsoft channel. But over the last year, YouTube has kind of fixed up its problem in the video game market. This channel doesn't really see anything get demonetized at all, but my Airsoft channel still sees everything get demonetized. This effectively made me restart on this channel. Sure, I had a successful channel with my Airsoft channel, but people really only saw my video game channel because of my Airsoft channel. If I didn't post anything to my Airsoft channel and then post it over here, it didn't really get that many views. I tried some different content for a while. I made weapon showcases, which got hit or miss success. Some of them got ridiculous views. Something like my Far Cry 3 weapon showcase got like 8 million views, something like that, but then a few would get like 1,000. So it's not consistent, you just occasionally got one that really got successful. Kind of a similar story to the reviews I tried to make. I would make reviews of mods and some of them did well, some of them didn't. Not very consistent, certainly not something to live off of. Again, keep in mind, this is my career at stake here. I need this to pay bills and rent. While I'm also in this situation, my roommates and I wanted to move into a bigger house, but Portland as a city got really expensive real fast. We ended up getting trapped in a 2-bedroom house in Southeast Portland. When I first moved in around 10 years ago, it was only $750 a month. That's really good. But over the course of 6 years, it went from $750 a month to $1,550 a month. I'm not kidding you, that's how expensive it got that quickly. So YouTube is imploding around me, my rent is getting more expensive, and I'm looking at all the houses around me getting just as expensive as my rent. It wasn't a one situation thing, it's all of Portland. And I wasn't on the inner side of Portland, I was in southeast Portland near I-205, which for those of you that don't know, that's not the more expensive side of Portland, that's the more affordable side of Portland. Imagine how expensive it is elsewhere. So that's my situation leading up to this year. I'm not making much money, we're stuck in a house that's too small, we don't like the location of it. The location of it is being on a somewhat busy street with motorcyclists going up and down it all the time, almost all over the place, a strip club and a bar almost across the street. Not exaggerating, those are the literal situation. It wasn't really a good house to be in. It was nice for a first house when you first turn 18, but it stopped being a nice place about 6 years ago. At some point over the last year, I decided to make a video that I just really wanted to make for a long time. I made this analyzing Far Cry 2's loneliness video back in December of 2018, so almost the start of 2019, about 9 months ago now. This video for the first 2 weeks didn't really see too many views, and then it just blew up. This also saw some of my reviews get more views because this was now putting me into people's recommendeds. I continued with the reviews for another week or so, and they weren't really getting too many views. And then I looked back at that analysis video and thought, let's try this again and see what really happens. These videos were way more successful than my other videos. They weren't too different from my reviews, but they definitely were different from a branding standpoint, and they just weren't really a raw review. I think people are more interested in seeing this because it's more unique than just another review you can see anywhere else. Over the last 9 months or so, my channel has gotten progressively more and more successful. It's had some down points just because some parts of the year aren't as successful as others, but for the most part, I've been consistently getting at minimum around 20,000 views for the first 24 hours when I post a video. And sometimes the average has been closer to 40k or 60k. This is so much better than before. My pay is a lot better, although it's still not perfect. I'm not having to worry about living check to check and needing to try to pay every single bill and stagger them so they don't get turned off. I look at that Far Cry 2 video as the breakout success for this channel and what is putting my channel in the correct direction forward. I'm excited about this, not because I reached 100k, but because this is a good step moving forward. This shows that this career is still viable, and that was a really big concern I had when YouTube imploded on itself. I didn't know if the career I had could even work anymore. I didn't know if I should just give up and go work at some hotel or something. This is the career I've been wanting to do for a long time, and this means that I can keep doing it. So as far as the YouTube standpoint goes, this year has been really, really good for me. It's entirely changed how I looked at the future. I'm not looking at it with dread anymore. I'm looking at it as sort of, what can I do? I'm not so worried about constantly having to pay bills and rent in a city that's getting more and more expensive. But there was also just a bunch of other stuff that happened over this last year that I did not see coming, and they were all really cool things. Let's start with something that seems entirely random, monster trucks. I find monster trucks really cool. I grew up watching them, they've always been awesome. The problem is I live in Portland, Oregon, and there's never been any real good shows up here. When Monster Jam comes to Portland, they run in the Rose Garden, an NBA arena, this tiny thing that they can't really do anything. If they go to Seattle, they go to Tacoma instead, which has the Tacoma Dome, and that's okay, but it's still one of the smaller shows, and it's certainly not one of the bigger ones you'd see on TV. If they go to Vancouver, it's the same, it's a hockey arena. So my whole life, I've never been able to see a real show, despite growing up watching them on TV all the time. That wasn't until March came around when I got an email from Monster Jam. It was a mass email, not a personalized one. Yeah, I just know the head of Monster Jam, or something, whatever. This email said, "Are you ready for Monster Jam Seattle?" And I instantly kind of freaked out, because for the first time, like, ever, in 20 years, in all reality, but back then in 1999 I was so young I couldn't have gone anyway, but for the first time in a very long time, they were having a real show in Seattle. This was in the arena that the Seahawks were playing in, so a football arena. Big floor, big space, a televised event. And that is only 3 hours from here. That's something I can do. But I only had 2 weeks. That's a problem. Tickets were still easy to get. It's in an arena that has 80,000 seats, so that wasn't very difficult. But there was only one show, as the bigger shows do, at 7 p.m., 3 hours away from here. You might be saying, what's the problem? Just drive. The thing is, I live in a city with really good public transit, so I don't necessarily need to own a car, so I don't. But when I go to these monster truck shows, I generally go with my father as sort of like a father-son bonding time. I probably should hang out with him more. We enjoy going to these, they're pretty fun. If we wanted to go up there, he would be driving, and by the time we got back it'd be 2 in the morning. That'd be way too late and he'd be falling asleep while driving. This meant that within 2 weeks, during spring break in Seattle, I had to find an Airbnb for 3 people. Myself, my father, and a family friend. I managed to do it. I got tickets, got a B&B, we went to the show. It was some of the most fun I had ever had, and I still have a very specific experience where I'm sitting in the seats at the show, looking up the large board, and they had a camera pointed from the top down. And in my mind, I was still thinking, oh, that's just a replay from some other show. I'm so used to seeing the big shows on TV that, like, the fact that I was at one just wasn't really processed to me yet. It sounds silly, but I'd never been able to go to these before. It was, like, very cool to me. It may not seem like a very big thing to you, but I don't know, it meant more to me than it probably should have. Another thing that similarly came out of nowhere is that I went down to a convention in NorCal. If you guys know who Cheesehead is, we called him Circle on this channel, he used to be on a lot of my videos. I stayed at his place down there. The convention we went to was Further Confusion. Yes, it's a furry convention. If you can't tell by the name of this channel, I'm kind of heavily involved with the furry fandom. I just don't talk about it much here because there's not much reason to, but it's pretty obvious. I've been a furry since I was 8. I'm 28 now. It's been 20 years. I quite literally grew up with this community, and it is a great part of my life. However, a few years ago, 4 years ago actually, to this very weekend, a con I went to every single year in Seattle stopped existing. It sort of imploded on itself. The con itself had got a reputation for being a party con, and the hotel staff eventually kicked them out for people abusing alcohol and drugs in private rooms. The con itself was great though. I loved going every year, and the con was big enough to attract people from all around the world. So some of these people I only saw once a year. This was the main con of the Pacific Northwest. It was called Rainforest. You probably have heard of it. Heard of it? Heard of it. But losing this con sucks, and I still remember it every single year when it comes to this weekend. It's not here anymore. It's just gone. It was really the center main hub con for the Pacific Northwest when it came to this community, but it's gone. We don't have it anymore. And even just thinking of that hallway of the Hilton, which is where I was at, it like makes me sad because it's just we won't ever get it again. Their reputation for being a party con, they had so much of a reputation for that they couldn't find another hotel afterward. And there's a lot of misinformation out about why this con imploded on itself. The internet historian made some video that is horribly inaccurate and had a very specific agenda, which I hate that video so much. Because if you actually want to know what happened, you can see a video showing the exact forums that the hotel used to say, you need to leave, which he mysteriously left from his video. There's a lot of rumors and dumb stuff being passed around. The actual answer is just that it got too much of a party con, and that's not very interesting, I guess, so people don't report that. Regardless, it left kind of a hole. Yeah, Portland has its own con called Furlandia, but it was much, much smaller. I still go to it every year. It's nice that it's just across the town. I can just drive over there and then drive back. But it's not Rainforest. Well, this year, as I said, we flew down and went to Further Confusion. This was kind of a surprise because I didn't plan on going. I really didn't have the money to at the time, but my roommate just kind of said, all right, you know what, I'm paying for you, you're going, and we're staying at Cheesehead's place. I found this out like a week before we were leaving, so with about a week of warning, I was flying down to California to go to one of the larger furry conventions, and I haven't been to a large one in about 4 years because we don't have one in the Northwest anymore. It's still not Rainforest. The whole vibe is not the same, and that's still kind of the hole that we're never really going to fill. But it still means a lot to go to these. It's so difficult to describe how much community means in the furry fandom. I have a video of it. If you're interested, you can go watch that. I make videos on a vlog account called Scaly House Productions. That's what we call this house. We're the Scaly House. So if you want to check that out, just go ahead and YouTube that, or I'll put a link down below, I guess. And you can go watch that stuff. And while we're talking about the Scaly House, we finally moved. So I was talking about how expensive the city was getting, how we were stuck in this 2-bedroom house that we were overpaying for in a shitty place for the longest time, and we really wanted to get out. Well, we really struck some luck, because this house that I'm in right now, it's obviously not that last place. This house is actually my father's rental house. The previous tenants were moving out. He wanted to fill it up quickly, and he told me, he's like, hey, we have a 3-bedroom house, and rent's only going to be $12.50. Do you want it? No paperwork, we don't have to deal with security deposits, we don't have to deal with anything. I can talk to an actual person, because the last person I was renting from was a property management company. They are the worst type of people. That's the type of company where, and this has literally happened, where if the 5th is on a Sunday and you turn in your rent at 7 a.m. as their office opens, on Monday they still charge you the $100 late fee. I hated dealing with these people. I hated the location. The house was too small. Everything about it sucked. So suddenly having my father of all people be like, hey, you can rent from this house, it got so much stress away. Because I had no money. we had no money, and now suddenly my money is coming back slowly. It's not as good as it was before, but it's on the right path. I don't have to worry about not being able to pay bills and rent. My rent is cheaper, and we have a bigger house. You know, it's $15.50 for a 2-bedroom house. In our last place, we're paying $12.50 for a 3-bedroom house with a good-sized yard. I can actually walk across my house and have a real living room now. Like, the quality of life change is huge. I really can't understate how big of a change this is. And you know, I've talked about the furry fandom meaning a lot before. That's how this house starts. That's why we call it the Scaly House. My roommate, who's an amazing roommate and an amazing friend, Raptor, the short Asian dude you've probably seen on my other account, I've known him since about middle school, 5th or 6th grade. At the time, I met him online. At the time, he lived in Maui. He moved from Maui just to live with me. And this is how pretty much all my roommates have gone. This is how much community means here. I've had roommates, all furries, keep in mind, move in from so many different places. Move in from Maui, move in from LA, move in from Phoenix, move in from Seattle. I've had one move in from Sweden. Like, and that's not for any reason other than just they want to be involved. And that was one of our main goals and dreams, if you will, is just to expand the Scaly House, get bigger housing. But with Portland getting so expensive and my pay suddenly imploding, this was also like your dream imploding. So it's so difficult to describe how much this year has improved everything. And there's one last thing I really want to talk about, and that is that I'm very involved with the Rivals of Aether community, as you guys probably have seen on this channel. I used to make a lot of Rivals of Aether content. I still do. If you ever see the Rivals of Aether highlights that are posted to the official Rivals of Aether channel, I'm the one that edits those. That's still me. They just pay me to post them over there now, because it's a better fit than on my channel. I've been involved with that game since it came out in early access of like fall 2015. It's been a while. It actually came out around the same time Rain first imploded. So I've been involved with this community since, you know, the game basically came out, since the game more or less existed. But I never was able to do anything because we never had any majors or tournaments in the Pacific Northwest. That is until, with only a month or so notice, the developers of Rivals of Aether, who are only up in Seattle, announced that they're going to be at Don't Park on the Grass. If you don't know what Don't Park on the Grass is, that is a Super Smash Bros. Major, and Rivals was also there. That was in Seattle, and as soon as I saw that, I went, I am going. Not to compete, like, I competed, yeah, but I don't necessarily care about winning in that regard, but just because there are so many people that I've known for so long that I've never been able to hang out with, and finally there's something that I can go to. So I went to that and had a really good time. I made quite a few videos of it on this channel. You can look up Don't Park on the Grass. Finally being able to watch a Melee Top 8 in person, finally being able to meet the Rivals community I've been so involved with, it was just a really fun time. I also, you know, I met a lot of friends who stayed in a B&B with Drain, Jet, Trofast, a bunch of different people that I really like. So that was really fun. But at the same time, I was also starting to run the local Rivals of Aether community, the local Portland scene. See, if we didn't have any majors or if we had nothing going on, let's start our own. That's totally not how it happened. It actually was completely coincidence that I started running the local Portland scene. What happened is that I went to my local furry convention, Furlandia, that I do every single year, went to the gaming room and saw that it was being hosted by the same people that run the venue where we have our Rivals locals at. Now, I didn't really know them. I wasn't really controlling anything at this point. So I started talking and I got in contact with the venue owner. So things just kind of snowballed, and I eventually became the main person, not controlling everything, but just planning everything. Eventually this led into us doing a monthly, the last Sunday of every single month, us having official seasons where every 3 months then we have an official PR, we have our own Twitter page, like we have an official thing going with a really good local scene that's just awesome to hang out with. But on top of all of this, we ran what was originally going to be planned as a regional, and it ended up getting so stacked that it might as well have been a major. And it happened last month. We had been planning this tournament for 6 or 7 months. It was a ridiculous amount of work. The tournament was called Crest, like the crest of a mountain. We ran on the joke of it being, you know, Crest toothpaste. People knew something was going on before we announced the tournament, so I just told all our local guys, your hint is toothpaste. There was no way they were going to figure that out. Then when they found the trailer, which we announced the tournament through a trailer before Overgrown, which was another Rivals of Aether major. As soon as they saw that trailer, they were all like, I hate you so much. So, you know, we had this planned, we had its own branding, its own, you know, logo. I went out of my way and got, you know, official medals that were sick and worked very well. You know, it was a ton of, there was so much work, it's hard to get it all into my head how much we were doing over that 6 or 7 month period. But it worked really well. It was a huge success. We had people coming from all over the place. Of course, we had, you know, people coming down from BC. That's not very far. We had some Washington players. We had our usual Oregon players. Then we had people coming up from California. We had people coming over from Arizona. We had a few coming over from the Midwest. Like, people were flying in from all over to go to this. And it was so stacked and had some of the best sets. It was easily one of the best, if not the best, Rivals event that has happened all year. Probably only being eclipsed by Genesis. It was an amazing event. There was really nothing more to it. It went as well as I could have hoped, and even better. Production side was run by the venue, who I've gotten very close to the venue owner at this point. Stream setup was amazing. The actual venue was amazing. Nothing could have gone any better. So this whole year has just been event after event, almost all new things, more or less. Me trying new stuff, certain videos getting huge, having a whole new style of content, getting paid more, running a Rivals event that was a huge success, going to my first major Rivals event because I couldn't go to any others, going to my first major Monster Truck show, moving into a new house. Topping it off with getting this, I had to rant at a camera for a while. This year has just been really, really good for me. And I'm not really an emotional person. It's not really who I am. You know, it's never what it's been. But occasionally, you know, I have to tell people things aren't too bad. I have to be happy about something every once in a while. And you know, I'm still looking forward, I'm still being reasonable. I'm not in the clear yet. I'm still not making a ton of money. I'm not free right now. But I can be there. You know, I can get back to where I was. And that makes me happy. I don't really have a whole lot more to say. If you guys want to check out my other channels that I plugged, like my Scaly House Productions or some of those other videos, feel free to do it. Thanks all of you for watching this video, as long as you did. This ended up being a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Guess I will see you guys on Wednesday for my analysis of Time Splitters 2. But thank you for a fantastic year.